Okay. Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December board meeting. I'll call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from the November meeting. Does anybody have any comments or corrections to the minutes? All right, I will go ahead and deem them approved by unanimous consent. Our first order of business will be the support group update. We first have the PTO with Miss Jamila on the line.
Hi there. So the PTO has been rocking this year. We have created some new initiatives. So every staff member across campuses is treated monthly at the middle school. We're calling that First Friday Favorite. So we're doing that on First Fridays at the middle school, but the same initiative is going on across campuses. So that has turned out very well. It's a really good opportunity to get in front of the staff, and we've gotten some excitement out of that. Our birthday celebrations are going well across campuses. We are celebrating monthly birthdays. So each staff member is getting a treat, a gift, and things personalized closer to their birthday, since we're doing it monthly now instead of quarterly. We just wrapped up our staff gifting initiative. So the staff gifting team had finished that off in carpools over the past week, and for our last boost, so we are happy to announce that we are going to be able to gift the staff at the same level that we have in previous years, so that's exciting. And our staff gifting team will be making those deliveries next week. Not next week. That is next week. And then so our last thing before we leave for winter break is going to be Cookie Walk, which we will host tomorrow across campuses. And then we will be on break and come back ready to rock and roll.
All right, thank you so much. A lot of fun things going on. I think what I heard you say was I need to make sure I'm on campus at some point tomorrow for the Cookie Walk, right?
Yes, you probably want to make sure you're on campus.
Big thanks to the PTO for organizing and all the parents that cooked. I don't remember what the exact cookie number was, but it was a lot. And I'll tell you, the staff gets very, very excited about Cookie Walk. So thank you for that, Jamila, and all the things you guys do to support our staff.
You are welcome.
All right, thank you. Next up, our athletic boosters, Mr. Schlegel.
Hi, this is Doug Monty. I'm actually here this evening to discuss the boosters.
Yeah, and Mr. Doug Monty is the head of the booster association.
Doug, you're on.
Yeah, booster club. So, and we see the full Doug. So go ahead, Mr. Monty.
Well, that's because you gave me such a hard time about my forehead last time. So, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Wanted just to let everybody know where we stand for the boosters this year. This year's been an outstanding year so far. Revenues are up over projected budget by 40,000 just based on fall sports. Also, the golf tournament was a huge success this year. So we're looking very good in regards to revenue income versus budget. So that's outstanding. Some of the things I wanted to highlight for us having such a successful year so far financially, we've been able to contribute to some of the athletics and things that were not originally budgeted for us to be covered. For example, we've went ahead and we signed up a program with the Huddle for unmanned cameras that are live camera streams for the football field and also for inside the high school gym. These allow the coaches to get live feedback of what's going on in their games. And then also stats are provided to the coaches that they can use. So this is a $10,000 program that we're funding this year for athletics, and it's been a great success so far. With this being the first year, it's only just the beginning for what coaches are able to use with this product, and we'll continue to support all the coaches and sports that are happening on the field and inside the high school gymnasium. Other things that we contributed to so far this year was we went in with the school on the VIP seating for the stadium. We also worked on the signage. If you guys have not seen that on the new field house, we have the state champions and the Wells Fargo Cups that are listed that the athletics have been able to achieve. And there's going to be more because we've already had another state champion this year, which is very exciting from the fall sport. Installation of all the equipment in the concession stand, the field house, was a big success. We feel that along with the purchasing of credit card equipment has been a major contributor to the improvement of concession stand. One, the ease of use for all sports. So we've increased our, availability to the individuals that are there watching games. And that has helped us significantly because in concession stand admissions alone, we are up almost $20,000 just for the fall. So hopefully we continue that trend in the winter sports and in the spring sports. But just wanted to let everybody know that booster membership is a little bit down as of this point, but we still have basketball season and we should catch up there. We're only down about $3,000 from projected. And but overall, it's been a great year. And one other thing that we just approved, if I did not mention that, is we just voted on Monday night and we approved to purchase a $4,000 pitching machine for the baseball team. That was not originally in the budget, but we're able to cover that, and we continue to help out all the sports. And I think the success from the football in attendance and in concession has really opened up the ability for us to continue to help all sports through Lake Norman Charter. If there's any questions that anybody has, please let me know.
Can I jump in for a minute?
Sure.
I just want to give kudos to Doug and the board. The volunteer parents, they put a lot of time in. They deal with a lot of conflict and a lot of things during games that normal volunteers may not deal with. This past meeting last week, was it last week or this week? I can't even remember. I think it was this past month.
It was.
We had about 5 new people come in and sit in our meeting. That's always open to the public. But we had 5 new parents come in, and a lot of them have signed up to be part of the booster board moving forward and part of what we're trying to build and continue to build. I like to once a year, especially when new people come in, talk about where we've come from because I've been here for 15 years. And for those who haven't been here through all this, there was no real field. There was no bleachers. None of this existed. And without the boosters' support as well as the school, we wouldn't have what we have today. And like I tell the boosters, we're not done. There's still other things on that to-do list. But I think we've proven not only with the booster club, but also the school board that we put our money where our mouth is, and we can get this done with the support of everyone in the community. So, Doug, I appreciate it. If you guys don't know Doug Monty, his kids are long gone. He's not even tied to the school. In fact, I got a couple booster board members that they don't have kids at school, but they want to continue to see this school and the athletic program grow. And until they find their replacements and people that can continue on, they're still in those seats. So thank you, Doug, and thank you to your group.
No, I mean, just to piggyback on that, Charter is a special place for all the new people. You need to realize it's very difficult to get the education and the athletic experience at a school like this that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, or pretty much what college tuition is. So for people that are new to Charter, need to just realize that it was all based on hard work from parents, and then also the school board as a whole for what you guys have been able to implement and put forth is phenomenal. Please keep up the good work. And I mean, it's the least that I can do is to help based on the things that you've been able to do for my children. And I'm sure that you're going to continue to do. So thank you. If there's anything that you guys ever need to know, if you see me around at a sporting event, please do not hesitate to stop, and feel free to ask me anything you would like to discuss. So y'all have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Monty. We appreciate your continued to support and dedication to the program. So, and what a great update. It's nice to hear that the Booster Club was able to fund some exciting projects. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to our finance report. We have a budget amendment to bring to the board, which will require a vote. So Ms. Wilson is going to kind of go through the amendment that she's asking for. And then once this is over, I'll entertain a motion and discussion and questions that you might have.
Good evening, guys. So I wanted to start off by giving you a financial update of where we are year to date as of October 31st. So as you can see, of the 23 million we budgeted, we're sitting at 6.2. The big reason for that is that local revenue just sometimes takes a minute to start funneling in. We have to wait until the first 20 days before we can even download a report. Then we have to move each child that attends LNC into the county category, go through the approval process with each county, and that can take up to 30 days. So that money is coming in more regularly. So when I do the next update, you'll see that it's a lot more current than where it is today. On the expenditure side of the 19 million, we've spent 5.8. Again, we're running pretty much true to form. Nothing alarming here. So right now we're sitting at a deficit of about $225,000. Next slide, Shannon. Thanks. So beginning with the budget, I know we have some new board members, so I kind of wanted to go through what the finance committee looked at as budget priorities when the state per pupil comes in and the local per pupil. So the first thing we always have to make sure we do is fund any increases in retirement contributions and health premium benefits. Those are non-negotiables. We get told the rate and we have to pay them. So those always have to be number one. We have to fund any unplanned expenditures that are required to operate so that we can do school. We next then look at if we can make any adjustments to the certified salary schedule to make sure that we're remaining competitive with pair charters and CMS while also exceeding the state salary schedule. After that, we also make sure we're looking at comparable increases to our non-certified or non-salary scheduled staff. So those would be the ladies in the office, our teacher assistants, substitutes, things like that. You saw the next thing. So we also this year, we wanted to look at our substitute daily rate and our hourly rate for our student workers. Chick-fil-A is paying a lot these days. So we want to make sure that we are offering a competitive rate for our students to run the Nights Kids program and in the summer to help our facilities crew and our technology team get the building ready and our technology ready for the new school year. And then this year, we also wanted to make sure we were thinking ahead about any expenditures that are currently being funded with ESSER funds that do expire in September of 2024. And of those things that we're paying for, what do we need to start looking at absorbing into our annual operating budget? So with that being said, this year we saw a 3% increase in our state revenue and about a 5.8% increase in our local revenue from CMS. About 80% of our students reside in Mecklenburg County, so we receive the majority of our local funding from Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So you will see here that resulted in about a $770,000 increase to revenue. So when you take that number and you take out the increase in retirement and the increase in healthcare benefits, we saw about a $690,000 to fund balance. Looking at that, the finance committee felt like passing through around 85% to staff through salary and benefits was kind of our target goal for this year, which would be about $586,000. So again, I know we kind of have a lot of new board members, and about in 2018, we really began taking a hard look at LNC compensation. And at that time, we came up with a compensation philosophy that I just wanted to share with you guys, which is Lake Norman Charter provides a competitive total compensation package to attract, retain, and reward high-performing employees. LNC strives to make employee total compensation market competitive, comprehensive, and internally equitable. So when you're looking at that market competitive, we always want to make sure we are exceeding the state salary schedule and we're remaining competitive with CMS and honestly remaining one of the top paying charters in the area. Comprehensive, we also want to make sure our staff realizes that it's not just salary, it's being a part of the state pension plan, it's being a part of the state health plan, it's covering dental for every employee that works at Lake Norman Charter. It's all of those things. And then internally equitable, at the time that we did this, we didn't publish our salary schedule. Now that's out there. And if you are a teacher at LNC and you have so many years of experience in this qualification, you know what you're going to make, right? And you know that any pair that has the same qualifications makes the same as you. So tonight, here's a little overview of the proposed salary changes. We're looking at a 2.5 increase to the certified salary schedule, which would be about an average of 4% for all staff members. Actual increases will range from 2.5 to 4.6. The reason for that is just where you are on your step. And then there's just some people that aren't getting a step increase this year. So that's why they're only at the 2.5, if that makes sense. 98% of our staff will receive at least 3% and 81% of our staff will receive at least 4%. I won't go over this, but this is now the new revised salary schedule that we'll be posting hopefully after you guys approve it tonight.
And Haley, if you don't mind me just jumping in real quick.
Yeah.
Board, I do want to note that you see here that we pay by years of experience and we also pay by credentials. So bachelor's, national board, doctorate. Many of the local school districts do pay master's pay. And so this is one of the things that internally we're not trying to be competitive. We're actually trying to be a leader. We want to value those staff members who have furthered their education either through national boards or through masters to give them an opportunity for even more upward mobility and quite honestly to get better trained teachers in front of our students. And there are several, actually majority, I think.
You go to
that
the
have-
next slide, you'll see.
Okay, check. Oh, I buried the lead. I
have just a quick question. So this particular increase would this be on top of like a standard cost of living increase, or is this like the full increase? That
This is
people would
full, so
expect?
it'd be their step plus additional money put into the salary schedule. So it's an increase plus a step because we do, our staff moves up in December instead of at the beginning of the year because we don't get our budget until then.
Oh, I see. So it's not like a fifth year teacher would expect a raise the next year. It's just the next year she's going to be a sixth year teacher, so she'd be stepping.
Correct.
Okay.
And the raise, the cost of living is built, that's why we've added extra money as much as we possibly can into the salary schedule. So so if you took salary schedule from a year before, and Haley can correct me.
So
Go ahead.
So this year, if you were looking at the salary schedule as a teacher, you're receiving your step plus 2.5%, if that makes sense. Yeah. So again, I just kind of wanted to share with you guys what our teacher experience looks like for the 23-24 school year. So as Shannon referenced, the majority of our staff do hold advanced degrees. So us paying for that, I think, is highly important. And I think it just shows the value that we have for highly qualified teachers. All right, so now let's go to substitutes and student workers. So substitute pay is something we've been trying to tackle over the last few years. So whenever we see a decent increase, we always want to take a look at this so that our teachers can utilize their PTO and know that their classrooms are covered by qualified substitutes. So with the budget amendment tonight, we're looking at changing the daily rate for uncertified staff to $112 a day, certified to $128. And then we have some substitutes that serve in long-term substitute roles for teachers that are going to be on extended leave. And you'll see there we've made some changes to the daily rate going up to $128.80 for uncertified and $160 for certified. On the student worker side, our current rate is starting rate is $9.50. We are not market competitive there, but we just know that the jobs that we offer provide flexibility to our students, but we want to make sure that we're offering them a fair rate of pay. So we're looking at beginning student worker pay at $10.50 an hour, and then depending on what job you're doing, how long you've been doing it, it can range from $12 to $14. So with all that said, we're looking at all of the things. If we implement everything, a total increase of 600,000. I went over by 13.5, but I think we're okay. So instead of it around 85%, we're looking at pushing through around 87%. Good luck seeing that, guys. So here is the budget amendment that we are asking you guys to vote on tonight. We saw about a $1.4 million increase in revenue from the original budget I proposed back last May to today. A big chunk of that are the ESSA funds. When I brought the budget to you guys in June, I didn't know how much we would be rolling over. So we now have that amount, but you will see down below, there is an expense offset. So that is pretty much a net zero impact to the budget. We had budgeted about a 2% increase, so that extra percentage resulted in about 281,000. We saw an additional 158 in local. And then there are some other, again, wash items. So we did buck bundles at the high school, but there's an expense that offsets that. PTO reimbursements are the same. We did receive a check for a Charlotte Water lawsuit settlement, and we've also had some donations. The next big line is Elevate contributions. As you know, Sarah's department, those things come in multi-year, so I really don't budget for it until I kind of see how the year goes. On the expenditure side, we're looking at about a $310,000 increase in salary and benefits. We had already budgeted for the step, but we didn't budget for the 2.5, so that's what that is. And then we've just also had some other salary adjustments. We've seen an increase in our tennis rent, but they're state champions, so we're going to do what we need to do. And we need to make some additional HVAC repairs at the elementary for the cooling tower malfunction. We needed to make some bus repairs, and some day of service expenditures are also in there. Down at the bottom, in regards to capital purchases, the field house final payment, we just needed to roll into this budget. In addition, we brought a new bus for our OCS EC students so that they can travel during the day to do some work study opportunities. And then we had to do a CapEx study that was part of our debt arrangement, and we just need to increase our CapEx line in order to satisfy that requirement. So when you take all of that into consideration, which is a lot, we're looking at a net change in fund balance of a negative $668,000. Looks terrible, but please remember, you guys approved a $1 million preliminary investment for the elementary school. So when you back that out, we're looking at a surplus of about $358,000. Shannon, if you move that screen, they'll see it. The bottom. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So yeah, so we're looking at a net surplus of about $356,000. Some people may say, why are you guys dropping that much to the bottom line? Right now, we project about 200,000 in ESSA related expenditures that we feel we're going to have to absorb into our budget. So we want to make sure that we're not pushing everything out into salaries where we're forward thinking and projecting ahead for what we know is coming down the pipeline. And that is it. Any questions?
Haley, how much was the increase in the CapEx study? Is it material? Or
About 40,000, Jaron.
the increase?
So we budget about 150, but the CapEx study, I mean, we had to pretty much look at every building and project out 10 years. What do we think may go?
Is it based on the growing portfolio of the school, or
It's based upon just the existing footprint of the school, but we just so what happens is now we budget for CapEx, right? We know okay, if there's a parking lot, we need to put money aside. For the debt agreement that we now have to have a repair and replacement fund. So we had to do an external study. We engaged,
Design collaborative.
there you go. And they literally went through every building and what's the life of our HVAC units? What's the life of our roof? And once you extrapolate it out, we're looking at probably having to put around 200,000 a year. The nice thing is now though, is that if Scott needs to go pave a parking lot, we're pulling from that fund and not pulling from our
That
operating
carries
account.
us, what, for a year?
Oh, this is for the life of
This
the
is for the loan.
loan.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll have to do that study about every 5 years.
And some of that too, you have to take into account things, I mean, inflation, construction, you know, that's part of the reason it's gone up additionally is that we needed to make sure that we could adequately fund for those things.
So if I can inject just really quick, we did a CapEx study back probably 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, a 20-year CapEx study, and we did our best to try to forecast for inflation. Obviously, nobody could have predicted what happened. So we built some of that into this study, and it's a 20-year study that we are going to revise every 5 years. So we don't run into an issue again where we have such an unexpected increase in inflation.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, if there are no questions, then I will entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment addressing salaries, student pay scale, and substitute teaching.
This is Elizabeth. I'll move to approve the 2023-2024 budget amendment.
It's Jared, I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Haley, and thank you to all our staff who will be receiving hopefully some very good news.
Hopefully that is well received. Thank you for your support, board, in that and for supporting the philosophy around compensation. I think it's one of those things that when we're trying to recruit staff, it's nice to be able to point to that. And when people are coming to say, this is how we do business. Sadly, and sure it's been in the news and everybody's seen, there's a local charter school. They haven't given their teachers raises in over 6 years. And there was no philosophy around what that looks like. And so we want our teachers to, and all support staff to understand that that's our first and best asset to the school. So
I probably should have asked this beforehand, but how does this, from a competitive standpoint, where does this put us with other peer charters?
we're one of the highest, if not the highest in the area. It's hard because we actually publish our scale and our contemporaries do not. But I have a lot of conversation with them, and when we have conversation around it, it seems clear to me that we are higher. So, and that's where we want to be because, and we're knocking on CMS's door, and that's what we're hoping for. 'Cause that really truly is our nearest competitor.
Yeah, and I know CMS is where typically we, if we lose teachers, and they transfer to a different school, which is rare. Fortunately, we have we're very lucky in that aspect. CMS seems to be where that happens. And I know during COVID, trying to get substitutes, CMS just blew us out of the water in pay. So it was hard to remain competitive, in that arena. So. Alrighty, next we'll do the state school report, Ms. Stein.
Yep, just a few things. First of all, Haley made reference to it in her presentation, because it was one of the budget amendments. We've had continued need to redesign and support that HVAC unit at the elementary school. So I wanted to give the board a brief update. We are still in the process of seeking to get damages from those who helped to design and install that, and working with a law firm on that, and currently are in discovery. So that has been a lot just to compile what we've needed to do that. As I think everybody agrees, we have a very strong case, but you have to follow the process to get there. And in the meantime, we also need to make sure that no matter what happens, that we have a well-conditioned building to house our elementary school staff and students. So that's where some of that comes. So that's where we are with that process, and I'll keep you guys updated as we continue through. First of all, I want to congratulate our middle school math team. They won the Charlotte Tri-Mathlon, and they, for as long as Mr. Kendrick has been competing, the Charlotte area has some really strong middle school math teams. And there was one team in particular that Mr. Kendrick kind of paces against. We've only ever been second in this, and we took first. And so that was super exciting. And special congratulations to Lucas Lee, who is one of our students who took first place, and he really just crushed it. So I'm really proud of that group. They always do a phenomenal job, but this was like a personal best, just because that was sort of a thing that we've been trying to attain for a while. So congratulations to Coach Kendrick and the team. The lottery is continuing to go well. As of December 2nd, we had 3,200 applicants even, which is odd, 3,200 even. And last year at this time, we were under that by about 200 applications. So we're actually tracking a bit ahead. So always good to see us being competitive and being where we want to be with that. And lastly, every year I feel like we get this honor of saying, hey, our high school was recognized by US News and World Reports. And I think that we're at 8 years running on that. Mr. Smith will correct me if I'm wrong. But now, for the first time ever, US News and World Reports are ranking middle and elementary schools. And our middle school was ranked 18th in the state out of over 1,300 schools. So 13th out of 1,300 schools. And our elementary school was ranked 7th out of 1,300 schools, which puts us in a rare space of the middle school being in the top 1% and the elementary being in the top 3/100%. What? Say that again? 0.3. Oh, okay. Wait, we had it. Sorry. Less than 1%. A third. Yeah, all right, right. Yay, okay. So thank you. Get by with a little help with friends. So we're really excited to see, and not I hate to say it, but not terribly surprised. You don't get it 8 years running at the high school without having an elementary and a middle that are feeding up to that. But it's great to actually see competitively where things land. So congratulations to both of those school communities for reaching that achievement. And yeah, no, this is all schools. 1,300 schools in the state, over 1,300. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll just say it's rare air. I think that was the quote from our post, rare air. And we're just super proud of our teachers and our students for doing so well.
Well done, well deserved. So thank you to everybody that helps make this place what we already know is the best place, but to be recognized by others as well is a great achievement. So thank you. All right, and then we are going to move on to our committee reports. First, we'll have Ms. Chapman with IDENA.
Well, first of all, it's nice to be back. So good to see everyone. Still everything, a lot going on with IDENA. I wanted to share with you, first of all, our November activity report. And starting off by talking about the high school, the Student Diversity Council ended up holding a guided discussion around race, ethnicity, religion, and identity in the U.S. Given everything that has been going on between Israel and Palestine, there was a group of students that really wanted to engage in a discussion around this. And we had talked in our committee meeting about administration being in dialogue around what would happen, if there were students on our campus that wanted to partake in a protest. And what we found was that a lot of students were wanting to engage in dialogue around this topic. And that's something that we have really tried to instill in terms of our IDNA is how can we be in conversation with each other around topics and events and identity. So this really was a perfect example of how something bigger in the world was going on and students wanted to be in dialogue with each other. And what we heard came out of that dialogue was that a lot of students were talking about the rise of anti-Semitism and also Islamophobia. And rather than talking about the differences between the two, they talked about the similarities. What are common shared experiences that individuals, you know, who are part of these ethnic groups are experiencing? So there was a lot of compassion, there was a lot of empathy, and looking again at the complexity of identity and shared experiences and struggles. Moving on, I also wanted to share that at the middle school, they focused on Native American heritage. They looked at education around the different tribes, the vulnerability in the culture. They also did some hoop dancing. I reached out to find some pictures and video for everybody, and that has not surfaced yet. But if it does, I will definitely bring it in for the next meeting. There was also a drop everything and talk and a Kahoot. On the elementary school, there's been discussion around cultures and holidays from around the world. I know the kids are really excited every year when this comes around. They focus on different research projects, games, foods, books, and also they have a lot of different parents over the years that have come in to share the different celebrations that their culture and family celebrate. We had our committee meeting in November on November 13th. I touched a little bit on the fact that we had had Shannon share with us that the administration had discussed, you know, what would happen if there was a desire to have a protest on our campus and what would need to be put in place for safety measures. Is there anything you want to share about that, Shannon?
No, just that there was some intentionality around that because as we saw on college campuses, there was, you know, some institutions where I don't think that they had the right plans and processes in place. And I felt like, so our admin team had discussion around that. And as Ms. Chapman alluded to, it was great to see the high school students really take the lead on constructive dialogue, because that's really, sometimes I think when you see in college campuses, what's lacking, it's more positional. And I think that's the value of our Student Diversity Club, is that they really can talk about that in a way where people can feel heard and learn about each other. So that we always want to, you know, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and we got the best in that case.
Thank you for sharing that. We can go ahead and move on to December slide. So one of the things that we were discussing in our November committee meeting was the high school modules that come out during nighttime that are around microaggressions, implicit bias, and diversity. And one of our goals for this year was to really engage the Student Diversity Council and other students in peer-to-peer learning and experiences. And so what was discussed was having students from the Diversity Council and the Diversity Club be a part of helping to facilitate some of these sessions in the classrooms during nighttime. And I just received an email from hold on one second, from Ms. Elkins today, sharing that currently there are 11 students that have volunteered that want to be a part of this learning experience. And we are actually going to meet with those students, I think, next week, possibly on Wednesday, to talk about what it would look like for them to be student leaders and facilitators in this capacity. Also, we have going on in the high school in December, the culture fair, which is coming up. And then in the middle school and elementary school, the celebration of the holidays around the world.
Hey, thank you. We'll move on to Thrive, Mr. Eastwood.
Good evening. Move forward. Yep. Yeah, so December here, we're looking at ramping up for the spring career cluster or the spring speaker series for the high school. And so we've had 87% of our high school students complete the career cluster finder, which is awesome. But only 75% have completed their game plan, which is where we're pulling the data to identify our speakers. So we definitely would like to see that stepped up before the end of the semester, before winter break, so we can really support our students in providing the best opportunities for them to hear from professionals in the areas that they have interest. And that will look like small groups, and our speakers will be reaching out for speakers in February to kind of man that. And we're looking for a March before spring break week-long event to get our students in front of speakers. So that's looking good right now. Middle school, excited about the efforts that are going on there for both their career fair that's going to be returning this year. We're going to look into survey options. Last year we did kind of personalized surveys. And so looking at what Naviance options do we have at the middle school to kind of mirror what we're doing at the high school. And then also there's an interest in spearheading the 8-week interest series. So we'd be looking for parents who have specialized skills, cooking, yoga, sewing, that they'd want to share with our youth. So we're kind of looking at logistics of how that would work to, again, provide a little bit more breadth of opportunities for our students. At the elementary school, they are also looking to do a small career day for third and fourth graders in the spring, and then in coming years expand it, which is pretty exciting. And it was also shared that on Veterans Day, they did an event where they had 6 speakers come, and those were all family members from our community that spoke about their time in the service, which is pretty awesome for our first and fourth graders. And through that effort, they did collect 100 pounds of candy for our troops. So that's a nice cap on that. Wanted to highlight the elementary school, the Leadership in Action Train. So this was shared on social media and to our committee, and I just thought this was like the coolest thing ever. I love the giant mural. But so the elementary school students are being recognized by their teachers for demonstrating leadership skills that they're learning through Leadership in Action. And what's really cool is that our students are putting their picture next to kind of the leadership skill that they've been recognized for. So I think that that's really a really great opportunity. So very cool. And last one, I did want to give a shout out to the class of 2026 because they have 93% completion for their career clusters. So want to shout out not only the students for doing it, but the teachers for supporting that effort and making sure our students are getting it done. Game plan is lacking, so we want to pick that up. They're only at 74%, but looking good, class of 2026.
All right, thank you. And I think that concludes our agenda. So I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:43.